part 2 of the Transformers Bumblebee toys, and last time I talked about movie Hot Rod in his Power Series Energon Igniter, but I also want to talk about Hot Rod in his more Legion scale Speed Series Igniter. But I figured to make this more complete, I might as well talk about with this mold with his Hot Rod and the repaint with Barricade, because they share the mold together. And then just to round it off, because it's the name of the line, let's talk about Bumblebee 2. So we got these 3 Legion scaled like Speed Series, Transformers Igniters, Bumblebee Series movie. That's a mouthful. We got a review of these 3 together, and I'll give a little history lesson of these 2 when it comes to Legions and Legend scales. So this is Protoman and Proto Retro, and let's do this.
Proto Retro.
So I talked about this guy in a previous video, just trying to make sense of all the movie Hot Rod toys in this new Transformers Bumblebee movie line. And now we're going to jump into the Speed Series, or what is known as the Legion scale, at least as for people from the old. Sometimes we called it Legion, sometimes we called it Legends. This time around, it's called the Speed Series, at least on the side here. So we're going to talk about Hot Rod in general, but we'll also talk about Barricade that shares the same mold with him, and just to fill it out, we got our Volkswagen Bumblebee to do it also. Now, this time around, it's this Gimmick-based Speed Series thing with the Energon Igniters and their core engines here. So we'll open these up, and I'll make sense of everything. Now, before I get into these guys, I just want to point out something interesting. So this is the first time ever I've seen Transformers packaging where the insert card layer, which normally the bubble would be on, is actually attached to the card back. I guess this is a way now to save money. Just print it all in one shot and then fold it over. It's a funny little thing I just wanted to mention there. Anyways, who cares about packaging? Let's talk about the toys. So even though these are packaged in robot mode, I like to traditionally start in vehicle mode. So the name of the game here is we're going to be talking about Hot Rod specifically, but we're going to bring in Bumblebee in here too, because this is his movie after all. Now, and I got Barricade just to make the comparisons. So Hot Rod this time around, in the larger scale, was a AMC Javelin with the flame on the top and everything, and had that specific look. The mold for this, as I mentioned in the previous video, is used for drop kick and shatter, so we have that kind of look of the AMC Javelin. This time around, for this smaller scale, the Speed Series, the Legends or Legion, whatever you want to call it, this is more of an AMC Concorde from the 80s. Although, you know, could be something else. That's what I kind of see it as. And I kind of figure that the inaccuracy between the two, and of course going to, let's even say, what he was depicted in World War II and stuff like that, is more so from the fact that I think that Hot Rod as a mold and as a character in this line really was a second thought. I think that Barricade really was made first, and they're like, hey, we can make Hot Rod out of that. And Shatter and Dropkick, which are in the movie confirmed, were made first, and they're like, hey, we can make a Hot Rod out of that. So that's just something I just wanted to mention quickly. I'll just also compare. Here is the Legend scale, or Legion scale Hot Rod from the last night. Just to give an idea. It's slightly larger, which is kind of nice, a little more beefier, but there's a little things in here that are also a little different too. So, what do we got going on here with these Speed Series ones? So the gimmick with this one is every single one of them has a peg on the back. That's something different than what we're used to in the past. And what is that peg for? Well, again, it's that little Energon igniter engine, which plugs in the back, and of course you push down on that little plunger there, and it's going to propel it forward. Just like how with this one, let me just transform it here quickly. You would put the Energon igniter core engine there, and of course it would come through the bottom and it would run it forward when you push the plunger, because there's no space to fill it in there, which is kind of good because that means it wouldn't be a hollow figure like Mr. over here. It's just put on the back, kind of like a trailer, if anything. You know, which is kind of cool. I guess you could have your imagination that's a trailer of junk he's carrying behind him, but it's the only way that it can propel the figure forward. Yeah. So it has that little hole on the back. Let's bring in Barricade with his original. So there's the original 2007 Barricade with his Legion/Legends class figure. And then we'll bring in the Last Night repaint, which was actually just a repaint of a Transformers Prime mold in that of Knockout. So yeah, not much really to mention there. And in the case of Bumblebee, well, I have a lot of Bumblebee toys, and I wasn't going to transform every single Legend scale one. I'll just do some quick pan photos of just all the Bumblebee toys. But I figured I'll bring in one to show a comparison. This is the 2007 movie special edition DVD Japan pack-in version. Ooh. I don't know why I picked this one. I just figured it'd be a good way to kind of show it off, even though it is ugly. And it's actually technically probably the body before Bumblebee went from this, because he was all nice before it became a beat-up Camaro, I guess. That's the way I kind of look at it. But you can see, obviously, that this Legend was way larger than the smaller B. But you know what? I don't have a problem with that, because B is supposed to be a small guy. You know, so when you have, like, here's the lineup, essentially, with the other current toys, you know, I don't mind B being smaller. So there he is with that. Any complaints really about him? Not much. There's the light bar that's on this one instead of this one. Before people asked, it is crazy glued in, so you can't swap them, even though you could clearly see that that's where the peg was when it was put in. For B, he's fine. Just would have been nice if there was just a little more paint on the back. Maybe the Japanese version will fill in the paint there. But otherwise, they're fine. They're Legend scale. They do what they got to do at that price point, at that scale. So let's transform these, and I'll transform some of the others and give you some robot modes. So now that the magic has been done off screen, let's do the magic on screen here. So we'll start with Hot Rod, because he's the star of the show. Again, even under the exact same mold-wise, only that light bar. So obviously transformation is going to be similar. So of course you got the legs, you got everything. It's fairly easy, like any Legends toy. You could already see where this is going here. Feet, front. It's actually very reminiscent to the original Barricade toy in terms of how his transformation and how he was folded up. In fact, I will transform Barricade at the same time, just to give you an idea here. So anyone who's owned a 2007 Barricade, you're going to feel very reminiscent on how this works and how it stands in the crouching position that it kind of has, again, which is shared with the molds here, and you'll see what I mean. So I'll bring in the original 2007 Barricade too, and we'll make sense of all of this. So first problem right away, that peg gimmick really offsets the look in the robot mode. It just hangs on the knee there, whatever. It is what it is, but I mean, it kind of sucks that the peg couldn't at least be folded down or removable when it transforms. Like maybe the peg of it, when it's locked together, the legs, it could have come off. I don't know, maybe because it could be lost. Nice paint on the face, sculpted on the arms. But again, the more you look at it, especially the sculpting of the arms and the hands and everything, you realize that this really was a Barricade mold first and then became a Hot Rod mold after the fact. And especially even like the aesthetic of it, again, it has that, the mold has this like hunched over kind of position to it, which again makes sense. Even for standing, it's not even that great. But the hunched over position is something that amazingly, all these years later, 10 years later even, is something that was reminiscent from the original 2007 movie Barricade toy. So this really was meant to be a evolution of the movie Barricade character, and they just slapped Hot Rod, repainted into the mix, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, it does what it does. Pretty good paint on the face. I'm actually quite surprised how much paint is on there to still, like, you know, give the character as much paint, you know, to really say, yeah, this is Hot Rod, don't worry. Even though the sculpting on the arms and stuff and everything, it would have been nice if he got his own mold, but I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess. I mean, they could have not done this at all, and well, I would just have one less Hot Rod toy to pick up. So this is an AMC Concorde Hot Rod, essentially, using a Barricade body. So let's put these aside and talk about the Bee. So here's Bumblebee, the name of the game, the show, Stoppa. So same thing, you flip them over, you have these little feet that are tucked in all the way back here, so he's got to kind of bring him all the way around. And then after that, it's pretty obvious where we're going from here. The arms come out, and then chest down, and we got a Volkswagen robot mode movie Bumblebee. And luckily the peg doesn't really get in the way too much here. It's still kind of, you know, it's hanging there on the side, but it's not as annoying looking. And let's bring in the other Bumblebee from 2007, the special edition movie one here from the DVDs. Let me just lock in those legs better, so he's a little taller. So, again, funny thing that this thing was much larger than him when he was in vehicle mode, but here in robot mode, he actually is a little taller than him. And this is actually pretty cool. For what it is, for a Legend scale, I dig it. Gets the final aesthetic nice. This is how B should have been, honestly, in my opinion, since day one with these movies. He really should have been a Volkswagen, but that's a whole political reason that this all is what it is and what it is. Let's go back to Hot Rod for a second and just do a little run through with, there's his movie version from the last night. We'll put Barricade here with his 2007 one, and I don't know, I'll just put the last night one over there, and B with the B. But yeah, they do what they do. Obviously in robot mode, the Energon Igniter gimmick doesn't really add much to it. So it is what it is. These are Speed series, these are Legends, these are Legions. Anyone who's been collecting Transformers in the past 10 years are familiar with this scale and price point of toys up to this point. Is it worth it? Yeah. In this case, you get what you expect. This is kind of, you know, what to expect from that price point. They are, I think, $2 more than what they used to be back in the day, but that's a whole other story in terms of plastic prices and inflation and all kinds of stuff that we could get into on a podcast. But it does what it does, and I mean, hey, if I had to make a suggestion, I would get the Bumblebee. The Bumblebee is probably the best of the three, and that's coming from the Hot Rod guy. Even between Hot Rod and Barricade, it seems like Barricade really was the one meant to be on this mold, where Hot Rod really was just kind of slapped on that, where, I mean, I don't know. I think that, at least with the AMC Javelin back here, this kind of makes sense for him, although it would have been cool if he had the hot rodded engine that Dropkick has from his mold. But either way, I think that this one especially, this is really a Barricade mold. The fact that it has that hunched over robot mode position, that is so reminiscent of that old toy and that old design. And again, the sculpt on the arms and stuff really is, it's a Decepticon mold that they put an Autobot character on. And considering, like, again, let's bring in, you know, Lambo Hot Rod over there. It's, I don't know. Here, have a Walmart exclusive carded one too while we're at it. I don't know why I have all these sitting around, but just for the heck of it. So yeah, it is what it is. Again, I would get Bumblebee. Bumblebee seems to be the clear winner of the bunch, the cutest of the bunch. Also doesn't get in the way, the little peg, so it kind of looks nicer in robot mode. Best bang for your buck, in my opinion, although they could paint a little bit here and there, but nothing too major that ruins the figure. Unless you're a Hot Rod fan, pick up the Hot Rod one. Otherwise, it's kind of a pass. And the Barricade makes sense. It makes sense at least, but again, unless you're kind of a fan of that character, it is kind of passable. But definitely pick up the B. So this is Protoman and Proto Retro, and this has been a video review of the Speed Series, Legends, Legions, Transformers, Bumblebee, Energon Igniters, Autobot Hot Rod, Barricade, and the showstopper, the star of the movie, Bumblebee himself. So take care, guys, and as always, roll out. Like what you saw? Be sure to like and comment on this video. Also, if you've not already, be sure to slam that subscribe button, as well as follow me on Twitter @Protoman and the Transformers Slag podcast with me, Protoman, and Jaws D. We also have Patreon, so be sure if you want to support us, check that out. And as always, thanks again from Protoman of Proto Retro.